Meeting of the Pittsburgh City Council Finance Committee. FATV is recording this meeting for public broadcast, audio and video recording. And there's no one in the audience recording. Members present this evening are Councillor Walsh, Councillor Boschman, remotely Councillor Cruz, and myself, President Zarella, chairing in lieu of Councillor Di Natale. We have 3 items on the agenda this evening, and if there is no objection, since Mr. Kettle is not here yet and the police are, I'd like to take our agenda out of order this evening. Any objections? All right, we will begin with 18024, order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of the E911 support and incentive grant funds from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security in the approximate amount of $219,594 for the purpose of supporting the salaries of the city's dispatch call takers. Chief?
Thank you, Councillor. This coming before you tonight, this is a reoccurring grant that the police department has relied heavily upon for many, many years. It helps augment our salaries for our dispatchers. The amount of money is configured through the state, and it depends on our call volume, how many calls are coming into our 911 center, and that also takes into effect the community that we serve. Historically, we were receiving anywhere between $179,000 and $180,000 a year. Last year, we put in an amendment because our approach towards crisis response, and because now we had a full-time clinician and we were able to apply for more money, thus the $219,000. So we were able to get a little bit more money because of the efforts we're putting forth with regards to crisis response. The $219,000 primarily goes all to salaries. There is some that is niched out for training for our dispatchers. Some goes down to the fire department. For the public that's viewing tonight, the Fitchburg Police Department is the primary PSAP for the city of Fitchburg. We are the primary call taker for 911 services. If something happens to our PSAP, Leominster, we have an agreement with Leominster. They're our backup. They're our backup PSAP. Fitchburg Fire is considered our emergency medical dispatch. So when there's a medical emergency, Fitchburg Fire kicks in and they work with our dispatches. Like I said, this is a grant that we've been receiving for years from the state. We rely heavily upon it, and with your acceptance tonight, it'd be just one more thing that we can check off this year. I'd be happy to answer any questions relative to this grant.
Councillor Boschman.
Chief, got a question. My question is, how do we stand with dispatchers? A couple of months ago, you came in front of us and you wanted the right to hire somebody to come in for overtime out of the group. Are we still doing that?
Yes, we are. The short answer to your question is yes, we are. Currently, we're down 2 dispatchers. We're trying to fill those spots. But we have a decent amount where it's not impacting our overtime as much as it was. Dispatch is still a part of the police agency that we're looking at, trying to figure out what is the best move for the city of Fitchburg. It probably will not happen under my tenure as chief, but this is very important to Mayor Squalia. My captains are very much on top of this. This discussion is going to be going on for the next year or so on the direction that our dispatch center is going to move. I can say that we have 8 very dedicated dispatchers that are do a great job in dispatching. So we're very fortunate to have the 8 that we have now. The best thing I can say, it continues to be a work in progress. This grant helps us maintain our budget during tough times. And we're going to continue to evaluate the dispatch center and what is in the best interest of the city.
All right. Are we still looking to outsource it? The mayor was on that idea?
We came to a roadblock with the outsourcing because we just couldn't find that regional entity that was large enough to take on our needs. So the mayor is focused on what is our needs here in the city. So I know that's the discussion she's going to have with my successor, and what is in the best interest for the city of Fitchburg as far as emergency dispatching. I can say right now, and to the public that's watching, we're in good hands. We have 8 exceptional dispatches, and I'm very confident that we're going to continue providing exceptional service when someone is in need and they're calling 911.
Hip, you don't mind if I ask one more question to you?
Go ahead.
My question to you on the dispatch. You know, when you see $219,000, $220,000, which rounded off because we're friends, it's hard to give up $220,000. Have we ever thought about bringing a third party in and let a third party decide which way to go? Is it better for us to outsource it, or are they keeping it in-house? Have we ever thought about that? I mean, it's hard for you to say, geez,
Councillor, the chief already answered the question about the possibility of outsourcing.
Yes, I understand that, but I know when you're dealing with money, Mayor, and if you get the money, I mean...
Well, thank you for the promotion, but...
Congratulations.
It's hard to give it up. It's hard to give up the money if you're dealing with money.
Sure, but at the moment, the question has been asked and answered, so unless it pertains to whether we should accept this grant or
I'm
not.
going to accept it. I'd be kind of foolish not to.
All right, so
The one thing you need to understand, Councillor, is if the city so chose, if it was in the best interest to regionalize, that $219,000 goes away. That's not ours any longer. That goes to wherever the regional efforts are, and then the city would have to kick in more money to handle our call volume. So like I said, it's a big discussion. It's something that I would advocate to the mayor that some type of dispatch committee be set up regarding what's in the best needs of the city of Fitchburg. But once again, the system is not broken. When you need 911, you can call the station and professional dispatchers are answering the call. What's in front of you tonight is $219,000 to help pay for those services.
I make a motion, we accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
You can acquire.
As we have remote participation, we will need to do this by roll call vote. Would you prefer to call it, or should I?
Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry? I don't know. Councillor Cruz?
Yes.
Councillor Boschman?
Yes.
Councillor Walsh?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, so that passes unanimously. Next, we have 18124, that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $48,000, same to be charged against the 2025 tax levy, and credited to police equipment and repair, firearm replacement.
Thank you. I want to start out on this one just to express the irony behind this. When I was appointed police chief in 2015, one of my first finance orders in March of 2015 was a request then to Mayor Lisa Wong to replace our aging firearms. And here we are 10 years later, and probably one of my last finance requests will be to replace, once again, 10 years later, our aging firearms. So there's some irony behind this and how it came to this point. I asked the mayor for the appropriation of $48,000. Let me start off by saying to replace the sidearms for the Fitchburg Police Department is closer to $100,000. I'm very well aware of the situation the city is in currently, and we examine every dollar we spend. And taking that into consideration and knowing the need of this request, I'm utilizing some of my forfeiture money that I have at the police department to augment this. So in essence, we're going to be purchasing close to $100,000 worth of sidearms for our officers, but $48,000 will be coming from the levy as outlined in this finance order. The reason I bring this to you tonight is 10 years later, yeah, our firearms, our sidearms, they're aging. And when they're aging, what comes with that is a lot of maintenance, a lot of repair. Maintenance and repair end up costing money. A lot of money that is not even allocated at this point. And we've discussed it, and let me back up a little bit. I'm joined tonight by Officer Kalinowski. Officer Kalinowski is our police department armorer. He's my subject matter expert when it comes to firearms, and you're going to have the opportunity to ask him questions relative to firearms once I get completed with my little section here. But I felt it was necessary, knowing we were at that 10-year mark, and there's a lot of studies out there on shelf lives of the department-issued firearms, you know, the amount of rounds that go through the firearms. And I thought, you know, I have to bring this in front of the council before I leave in January, because I truly believe this is a necessity. It's just not something that we're putting out there. As I stated, just the maintenance and the repairs that we're doing on them is really what brought this to my attention to get it in front of council. I'm open to questions on this. If you do have specific questions regarding equipment, what the firearms are, I'll be happy to answer those through Officer Kalinowski, but I think I'm at a good point now where I'd like to just turn it over to you. And I know Councilor Boschman has some questions. I know Councilor Cruz probably has a few questions for me, and same with you, Councilor Walsh. I'd be happy to do my best to try to answer these. The one thing I'd like to last say is this is an extremely important piece of equipment that my officers have. This is the difference between life and death in a situation. And I have to feel comfortable knowing that I'm putting the best equipment on the streets, providing safety and security for everybody in the city of Fitchburg. I will end at that, and I will open it up to questions.
All right.
I got a question.
Councilor Boschman.
10 years, 2016, well, that's 9 years, really. My question to you is this. How many years should we be changing those guns? Every 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30?
It's a great question. There's not a national standard, and if you reach out to different organizations, if you reach out to the International Chiefs of Police Association, if you reach out to the Fraternal Order of Police Association, everybody has a different number. I've heard numbers every 5 years, every 7 years, every 10 years. I really haven't heard anything over 10 years. There's studies out there, 5, 7, and 10. There's a lot of factors that come into play in that. How often are your officers firing their weapons? How much training are they doing? You know, we've put considerable amount of effort in training for the Fitchburg Police Department. Our officers qualify twice a year on their weapons. So every officer is firing their weapon in a controlled setting at a range, whether inside or outside. They're firing between 600 and 800 rounds per year. So if you take that as 800 rounds per year per officer per 10 years, that's 9,000 rounds that have gone through that weapon. Just like a vehicle. You can only drive a vehicle for 20,000 miles before the brakes need maintenance. And if you don't maintain those brakes, you could end up in a crash. Firearms, there's a lot of similarity. When you have that much wear and tear and you're starting to run into a maintenance issue, that's when it's time to look at it and say, okay, we may want to consider replacing them. So that's where we're at. I know I circled around that. There's no simple answer, Counselor. 5, 7, 10 years.
My question, I was wondering, since you got the young man here, if we can hold off on 1 more year. And the reason being is we're short of money. And I'd rather see us hold off, if you can make it another year, till we get our feet back on the ground. Mm-hmm. I don't want, you say, well, it's only 50,000, 48,000, yep. 50. Well, 50,000 here and 50,000 there and 50,000 here adds up. Yep. And we're already, according to the mayor, when I talked to the mayor the other night, she already told me that we're already $3 million behind. Yep. And I'm trying to avoid all possible layoffs. I'm not trying to get people scared. I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm trying to be as tight as I can be. And if we can hold off for another year until we get our feet back on the ground, I would do it that way.
I truly appreciate your fiscal conservativeness in looking out for the budget. We're all obligated to do that. I wouldn't be standing in front of you unless I really thought this was necessary. Would we have this conversation if a firefighter was looking for a breathing apparatus? Probably not. We're talking about a piece of equipment that may be needed to defend a police officer's life or someone in the public's life. And I'm telling you that because of the amount of maintenance that I see going into these weapons, I believe we're at a point where it's necessary. If I go another year, there's going to be a considerable amount of maintenance and repair to the weapons, and I think Officer Kalinowski can speak better to this about how much we would actually spend on repairing and maintaining these weapons. I honestly believe we're at a pivotal point that this is a necessity, and I'm not sure I would be comfortable saying, yes, let's wait another year. I am doing my best to be fiscally responsible. That's the reason I didn't ask the mayor for $100,000, where I'm utilizing forfeiture money to pay for half of this. I'm not sure I answered your question, but
You didn't answer my question, because I'll turn it back to you, Chief, and I'll say to you, prove to me that you've been putting repairs in. I don't see any bills that you submitted. I don't even see it on your when you submit a budget at the budget return thing. There's nothing saying we spent $300,000 repairing our guns for action in the city of Fitchburg. I have no proof. I get, and I'm not saying that I don't believe you, but I like to see proof. All I know is what I'm being told from the mayor is that this year coming is going to be very, very hard. Right now we're $3 million, and yet the auditor knows more than I do. It's probably been a lot more. And I'm trying to, and I'm not saying you guys don't either, but I'm trying to save as much as we can. And if we can get through another year, then I want to get through another year and save $50,000, and even save your $50,000 where you can put it towards it next year.
so I do want to answer your question. In my professional opinion, as your police chief, who you entrusted me in this position, I need these weapons approved. I do not want to run the risk of running another year with weapons that have been requiring excessive amount of maintenance. That being said, I am trying to be fiscally responsible, but I think we're at a point right now where you've entrusted me as your police chief. I'm telling you as a city councilor and as an elected official that I think this is a necessity. However you so choose to vote on this, that is your prerogative. But I can rest my head at night knowing that I brought this to the mayor as a need for the police department, as a potential life-saving need, and now it's up to you as an elected official to make that decision.
Mr. President, let me ask him. I got one question, Chief. I'll tell you what I want to do. I'm going to ask that we hold this in the next financial meeting, because you don't need an answer tonight. And you bring me back data showing that you've been paying a lot of money on your repairs for your guns. And if you show me that, I'll vote for it. I'm not saying you're lying to me, but show me some data. I got no data. I need a new car, but I can't afford a new car.
I'm not sure what to say to you other than if the brakes were gone in your car, you'd repair them. Would you like to address the councilor on the amount of repairs and maintenance and what we would anticipate this year if we don't replace these weapons?
I have my hands, myself and another armor, we have our hands on every firearm. We annually inspect them, and at the age that they're at and the use that they get, whether it's 800 rounds, 8,000 rounds, it really is irrelevant. It's the amount of wear and tear that they get from everything from being out in the elements to, just getting banged around in the course of our duties. When we break these down every year, we're seeing more. It's all kinds of little things, like a little spring for the safety pin, or the drive spring, or the recoil spring needs to get replaced. And as we get further and further along, we're replacing more and more and more of these. A lot of that comes from stuff that we already have in stock, but it's adding up, and we're doing more and more and more of them, unfortunately.
Would it be accurate to say that at this point we are at or near the point where the repair costs will equal the replacement costs if we continue, or no?
No, to refurbish, it would be much less. I mean, for instance, to change out the night sights that are on them, because they've got tritium in them. They degrade over time. This year would be a time that we would have to replace them. That's around $70 just for the part. Then you take the recoil springs. That's anywhere between $5 to $10 per one, and those all have to get changed out of all approximately 80 of them that we have fielded right now. And then it just each little part adds up and adds up. I could give you a roundabout number of maybe 15,000 to do all of the service weapons that we have, but some might not need an extractor, some might need an extractor and another part. So it's hard to say right this second.
Okay.
And then to augment that, we're still faced with this unknown question. I have 90 weapons out there that we know need additional maintenance, and we never know when that moment is that you may have to utilize deadly force. Do I really want to run the risk that that weapon may have not gone through maintenance and it doesn't work, and then we have something catastrophic? I'm not taking that risk. That's why I brought this to the mayor's attention. That's why I found a way to try to be somewhat fiscally responsible and not ask for $100,000. That's why I'm in front of you this evening.
Any additional questions?
I still want a breakdown. I understand what you say, but if you look at $7 for a spring, it's the same thing. I'll go back to the car. The car, you got to do different things to a car. You just don't keep on, because it's 10 years old, trade in it if you don't have the money. I mean, he just said total cost, maybe, if I correct hear him right, $15,000 total to fix all 90 guns. That's a far cry from $100,000.
And I'll leave it like this. If it's worth that risk that we may have a malfunction during the use of a deadly force situation, I've done my job coming to you tonight. If you so choose not to vote for it, my opinion, my humble opinion, you did not do your job.
Wait a minute, I take that back. Mr. President, may I say something here?
Councilor.
In the city of Boston, Massachusetts, guns have gone off without people using, and they were brand new guns. They said there was a defect in them. So I don't like it when somebody tells me, and I get upset when somebody says, I don't care. I care.
Councillor, you've made your point. And we're not in the city of Boston.
I'm just giving you an example. Brand new guns went off. Brand new guns.
Understood. I'm going to give someone else a chance to speak,
Yeah.
and if you have additional questions later, we can circle back, okay? Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess my feeling is that I'm going to take the chief at his word. I think that I would like to see the police officers in Fitchburg have as much protection as possible, and therefore they're able to protect us as much as possible. And if the chief tells me that they need to replace weapons, that it's time to replace weapons. And to get back to the councilor's analogy about your car that needs repairing, after a while you replace all the parts. It still doesn't mean that it's a brand new car, and it doesn't operate the same way. So I'm going to vote in favor of this. I think $48,000 is a lot less than $100,000, and I think the chief is doing everything he can to make this less painful for the city, and I'm going to vote in favor of it.
Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I tend to agree with Councillor Walsh. This is firearms are something that the police department uses to serve the public. This is about them being able to do their job and serve the public. And so it's as much as I agree with Councillor Boschman about us needing to be fiscally responsible, the last thing we want is a police officer, unable to serve. We want to give them the best, make sure that they can serve at the best of their ability, and this is part of that. So I have no problem approving the expenditure. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. And I feel similarly. I think that the point that the chief raised is an important one as well, in that even assuming, I have no doubt that the armory does its job, that you guys do your job, maintaining and inspecting all the firearms, but you can only do it so often practically. I assume I'm not incorrect in stating that it would be infeasible to inspect every firearm before every shift.
Yes, sir.
And so, just like with a car, between maintenance appointments, there's always going to be the problems that you do know you need to get fixed and the problems that don't become apparent until you open the hood. And I certainly wouldn't want to have, I mean, no matter how low the probability is, I would not want to have a scenario where, any police officer in the city of Fitchburg needs their firearm, God forbid, and finds that it has one of those few defects that wasn't yet able to be detected at the last time it was serviced. And the older any machine gets, the more frequent those kind of defects are going to accumulate. So, yeah, it's a pinch. Everything is this year, but it's something we have to do. And if I believed that there was any reason to think that it wasn't actually necessary, I'd be skeptical too. But, I think that I know my expertise, and it's not in policing or in the repair and maintenance of firearms. And so when people who are experts in those fields tell me what's needed for our force to operate as it needs to and safely, that's what I'm going to do. Do I have, Councillor Boschman, go ahead.
To go back on what you guys had just said, I want to tell you something. I'm not against backing my policemen. I'm all in favor. I'm just trying to be fiscally responsible. But I also want to point out to you, Mr. President, you say different things. I drove a fork truck. And my fork truck, the obligation of my job to get on that fork truck was to inspect that fork truck before I get on. When the second shift came in, his obligation was to inspect that fork truck to get on. A third shift, the same thing. So when you tell the public something, they all have the gun, they're all supposed to inspect their guns to see if they're properly running right, or whatever, firing right. If they're not, they bring it to I presume it's you, right?
Yes.
You're the guy that repairs them. So he repairs them. All I'm saying to you, we should be holding off. I got no data. I can tell you anything. I got no data to show how much money we're spending. It's 10 years and it's time for a gun. That's all we got. 10 years, it's time for a gun. 10 years ago, the mayor, Wong, said no. 10 years later, he's in front of Sam Squally, the mayor, asking for things. You're spending $100,000 of the taxpayers' money.
No.
Where it comes, where's the 50? You got a 50.
48,000.
48 from us. Where's your 50? You got a 50 coming from?
Forfeiture money.
What's what?
It's forfeiture money. It's not city money.
What's that, forfeiture money?
It's money that we get from proceeds from investigations.
Okay.
So $48,000, Councillor.
So I apologize. I didn't know what that was. All right, that's all I used it for.
So,
May I speak?
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm going to speak quite frankly. First of all, you're questioning my integrity. I've been your police chief for 10 years. I've come in front of this council. I think I've earned some integrity in the last 10 years. When my officers come to me and tell me they're having maintenance problems with their firearms, probably the most important piece of equipment they put on their sidearm, on their body, outside of their bulletproof vest, and that comes to my attention, I have to do my duty and ask the mayor. I spoke to the mayor. I told him my concerns. We sat down with myself, the auditor, and thus what's in front of you right now is this loan, this $48,000 request. I find it a little disheartening after 10 years as a police chief that I can't stand in front of this council without a councilor demanding that I show proof. No one has been more fiscally responsible than I have been for this police department, managing a $10 million a year budget. However you so choose to vote tonight, I am fine with. I will still consider you a friend tomorrow, because we can agree and disagree in a public setting, but I do take offense to it, because now this is my integrity, and I think I've earned it after 10 years as your police chief. Now I yield the floor.
Thank you, Chief. And I agree. I mean, I think if there were some question of looking at the numbers to try to figure something out, that would be one thing. But if it's just a matter of there's a number we've been given and is it correct, I'm comfortable saying yes, unless I have very strong reason to believe otherwise. I'm going to presume it's correct. But in a moment, Counselor, I'd also just like to point out that different tasks require different levels of expertise. There are some things that each individual employee in a particular job can be trained to do and make it the responsibility of the individual. There are other things that that's just not feasible for. And again, I'm not an expert on firearms. I don't think, I don't think that my fellow counselor is either. So I'm not prepared to say, without knowing, that this is something that individual officers could be made responsible for. I assume that if it were, then that's what we'd be doing. But the fact that we have a specialized position of armorer suggests to me that this is not the sort of thing that an individual officer could feasibly keep up with on their own, inspect their own firearm before each shift and reliably verify that it is in good repair. There are plenty of things like that all throughout any profession you'd like to name. If I may, Counselor, only because you used yourself as an example, may I refer to your own experience?
Go ahead.
I know you worked for GE,
Right.
and you say you inspected your own forklift
Right.
before each shift. I imagine there was a lot of other industrial equipment in that plant that you utilized on a regular basis, but that you wouldn't have had the first clue how to inspect and repair without a specialized other employee to do it for you. So I gather at least that that is the case we're dealing with here. Anyway, that being said, I'm going to go to Councillor Cruz because I saw his hand up and Councillor Boschman has spoken twice, and then I'll go to Councillor Walsh. Councillor Cruz?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be pretty brief. I think at the end of the day, Chief Martineau, I know that you have the best interest of your department and your officers in mind, and you wouldn't be before us today if the inspections had taken place, if the main had taken place, the refurbishments had taken place, and it didn't come to the conclusion that your officers needed new firearms. And it's not, you take a look across the country at what departments are purchasing and what they're putting their money in. This isn't a specialty purchase. This is something that is used by the department to serve the public at the end of the day, and we've got to make sure that they have that available to them, that they're in good working order, and that they can be used in the line of duty. God forbid they need to. So again, I have no problem allocating this and approving this expenditure. And thank you, Chief, for the work that you do. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to say that I think that the police department has been diligent in applying for and obtaining grant money. They've saved the city of Fitchburg a lot of money over the course of time that I know about. I think the chief has been also as diligent in trying to save the city as much money as possible. And I think I agree with the chief. I think over the course of 10 years, I think he's earned the right to tell the council this is what we need. I know that he's not asking, it's not like he's asking for, special patches or something like that. This is necessary equipment. And again, I think this not only keeps officers safe, it keeps the city of Fitchburg safe, and I'm going to take the chief at his word. He's the expert. If he says that's what he needs, I think that 10 years is a long time to have a weapon, and I think it's necessary, so I'm going to vote in favor of it. I yield the floor.
Councilor
to
Boschman.
approve.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have something else?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, listen, I don't mean to offend you. I'm not trying to offend you, and I'm not questioning your integrity. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying. If I wasn't doing my job and pass everything, I shouldn't be a counselor.
Likewise.
If I don't have the right to ask you questions, I shouldn't be a counselor. But I will ask Jackie, can we afford it?
Well, there is money available for this appropriation. We had several budget cuts, if you remember back in the spring, so there's
Yeah.
a certain sum of money that's been sort of left on the table. So in that sense, yes, we can afford it.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Do I have an objection?
No.
All right, it passes unanimously.
Thank you for your
Thank you, Chief,
support.
and thank you.
Especially you, Councilor Boschman.
What's that?
Thank you for the hard questions.
We need a roll call. I'm remote.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me, Councilor. Councilor Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Councilor Boschman.
Yeah, yes.
And I'm a yes. Passes unanimously, 4-0.
Once again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Lastly, I know we do not have Mr. Kettle here right now, but we have 17924. The City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds from the Federal Aviation Administration in the approximate amount of $259,825 for Phase 1 to reconstruct the main apron, design, and obtain permits.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second
Question.
to approve on the motion.
On the motion, Jackie,
Well, hang on. If you're going to ask a question, we would need the motion withdrawn.
I withdraw my motion.
one quick question, Jackie. According to when I read the report here, he said that we voted on this back in March.
Yeah, we appropriated the local share of the project, and they needed that to be done before they could apply for the grant.
Okay.
So this is the grant part of the project.
All right. Let me make a, okay. I said.
All right. Would you like to renew your motion?
I renew my motion. Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Is there, roll call vote. Councilor Cruz.
Yes.
Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Councilor Boschman.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously, 4-0.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion and second to adjourn. I am not taking this by roll call vote. Anyone who wants to object can do so. We are adjourned.